We start with the third chapter of plus 2 physics, which is current electricity. Current electricity is actually a repetition or a continuation of your ninth and 10th class. Okay, you would have heard about electricity before also. So many of the things you would know, so bear with me. And I would like to mention it is one of the chapter which carries maximum marks for your board examination as well as your NEET, because the entire chapter 80% of the questions are numericals and only 20% are theory. So while we will be dealing with theory, related to that theory problems will be dealt. After that, around 2 or 3 hours will be completely numericals only. So many questions has to be dealt, so the entire videos will be in fast procedure. Along with it, the homeworks will be also uploaded, and those also will be numericals only. Clear? Now we'll start with the chapter. So from the name itself, what do you mean by current? Right, current and electricity is something related, I hope you know. And what is current? Current is rate of flow of a charge or a multiple charges. And you remember current is indicated by the alphabet I. Right, so I is equal to Q by T. Right, that is expression for current, that is amount of charge flowing per unit time. Now usually charges or Q is having the unit of Coulomb and T is for the unit second. So current's basic unit you can say as Coulomb per second, or the main unit is ampere. I hope these and all you know, right? And what is the symbol of it? It is A. Right. So if you are asked what is the definition of 1 ampere, how would you write? So that means to create 1 ampere, the Coulomb should be 1, right? Charge should be 1 Coulomb, and second should be, or time should be 1 second. So from this itself I can generate the definition of 1 ampere. It is the current flowing in the circuit when 1 Coulomb of charge flows through the circuit in the time interval of 1 second. I hope you remember what is the definition. It is a current flowing in the circuit when 1 Coulomb of charge flows through the circuit in the time interval of 1 second. Right, this and all you might know. Similarly, you would have learned about Q is equal to NE formula, right, with N is the number of charges flowing or number of electrons flowing, and E is the charge of 1 electron. What is the charge of 1 electron's value? 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 Coulomb. This and all things you have to by heart by yourself, guys. You can represent this NE in this formula also, that is I is equal to Q by T. There you can write NE by T also, it's okay. This much clear? This is the basic thing. Now the thing or the topic which you might not know is whether current is scalar or vector. Whether a scalar or vector, whether current is a scalar or vector, because current has both magnitude and direction. So obviously you will say current is a vector quantity. No, current is a scalar quantity. So you would have both of them are there. It is having both magnitude and direction. Why current is a scalar then? The thing is, current always flows from positive to negative, irrespective of any condition. It always flows from positive to negative. I mean conventional current, okay? It always flows from positive to negative. In whichever way you arrange a circuit, it always flows from positive to negative. And same, if I add, you are given that there is a circuit and from one side 2 ampere current is flowing, right, in this direction, and then another current is flowing in this direction 3 ampere. What is the total current? How would you do? You are not given a total scenario. You are given 2 ampere going from this direction, 3 ampere going in this direction. That means both of them are coming from positive itself. Right, so you will not say that I am going to take a component in this direction, etc. Right, what would you do? You will just add 2 plus 3, that is 5 ampere current. Right, I hope it is clear. But later on I will say nodal analysis, etc. If suppose in the same question, this is 2 ampere coming, right, and this is 3 ampere going, this scenario can never happen, because if this node is indicating there is nothing else, right, that means there should be 1 ampere current also, then only the 3 ampere exists. See, 2 ampere coming in, 1 ampere coming in, 3 ampere coming out, right? Every current which is coming should leave, right? So how would you add? Do you add them as a vector form? No, you add 2 ampere plus 1 ampere gives you 3 ampere. The amount of current coming into this node is equal to the amount of current flowing. This is Kirchhoff's current law. I have taken this, right? So this means I am not adding the current factors in a vectorial way. I just add them in a scalar arithmetic form. Clear? That's why current is a scalar quantity, not a vector quantity. This much clear? Now see, in between I told you conventional current. So you would have thought what the conventional means. Actually, current's direction is not something which is experimentally proved. Current direction that taken from positive to negative is conventionally accepted, universally accepted, that we will take the current's direction always to be from plus to minus, and electrons will be flowing from negative to positive. It is something which was conventionally accepted by every human being in the world. So no one has actually proved that. Clear? So on all the textbooks or books, whatever you see, they universally have accepted that current will always flow from positive to negative. Hence that's why we say it as conventional current flow. Clear? So we'll move on. So how many type of electric current do you know? First scenario comes when you say that actually current is always not steady. That is, for you can take current flow, suppose in first seconds your current was 1 ampere. Sudden something came up, lightning came up, so higher pulse came, so from more than 1 ampere load can come. So current is actually not steady. So if I consider during a delta t interval a very small charge q flows through a circuit, then I will name a current I is equal to delta q by delta t. That is very few amount of charge flowing for few amount of second. This type of current is known as instantaneous current, right? This much is clear. So this is the first type of current, that is very few amount of charge flows for very few amount of time interval. Clear? That is the first type of current, that is instantaneous current. So second type is non-uniform current. Non-uniform current. That is very easy to understand. What do you mean by non-uniform? That is, the current increases in any way it fails, or the charge flow will be anyways, right? That is, suppose I consider them in a graphical way. This is your time, this is your current. So as the time goes on, the current was initially increasing, then what happened we don't know. It can go on and it can become a steady form, right? This much is clear. That is, as the time increases, the current will increase or decrease. It can go decrease also, not in a non-uniform way. Clear? Then you will say, so if it is non-uniform, what will be the opposite of it? Steady. So the third type of current is steady current, that you know, or I can say its new or name which you know, which is DC, direct current, right? What do you mean by direct current? That is, if I take a graph like this, and this is for I and this is T, current is always steady. Whichever time interval you take, the current will be having a uniform or a same value. So you can say this is a uniform current or steady current, or it can be termed as direct current. This much clear? Right. Now I will write in this case itself. Then the last term, which after DC obviously the next form will be AC, that is alternating current. So what is alternating current? Its magnitude as well as direction goes on changing as the time goes on, that is this form, sinusoidal, right? Initially it was having plus value, then it goes negative, that is the direction goes on reversing, 180 degree shift. This type of current is alternating current. There is an entire chapter for you guys to learn. Later on we will be dealing with this chapter called alternating current. It is fully completely derivations, guys, right? That time by that time you might have studied, or you have to study maths, derivation and integration. Clear? Now let's move on. So I told you the conventional current direction and universal current direction. I hope you understood this much portion. Now what happens is when a conductor is placed in an external electric field and when conductor is not kept in an electric field, both of their characteristics is quite different. First we will deal with when the conductor is not in electric field, or when it is not connected to an external voltage source. Suppose this is your bar and they are free, means it is kept in free. I have not connected any voltage source. That means this electron or this conductor will be having a large amount of free electrons, right? And these free electrons will be having random motion because they are not controlled now, because in room temperature they will be thermally vibrating, right? And thermally vibrating means they can undergo collision with each other, and during this collision they are moving in random motion, right? Random motion means suppose this is an electron, right? After some time it will jump over here, right? But at that time this electron might see another electron, so this electron might strike this guy. So after striking, this electron can push over this direction, and this person who had struck can move in this direction. So they are randomly moving. So randomly moving means suppose this one electron I am considering, it was moving in this direction, right? So this would have caused a current. When a charge flows for a unit of time, it produces current. But at the same time, there might be another charge which is flowing in this direction also, right? That means if I consider the average current of these two electrons, what will be the average current? Be 0, because one is in this direction, the other is in this direction, right? That is, some electrons will be moving in forward direction, then equally some electron will be moving in a backward direction. So the net current for a particular direction will be always 0. This is a very important scenario, guys, when there is no electric field, right? So when there is no electric field, electrons are moving in random motion, they will be colliding with each other. So when I consider some electrons are moving in forward direction, equal amount of electrons will be also moving in backward direction, so that if I consider a net direction for current, that is current in a net direction, will be always 0. Clear? Now what happens when I connect a charge or a voltage source to this conductor? I have connected a voltage source, right? So current always flows from positive. Now what happens to the free electrons here? These free electrons, now they are getting direction. And what happens, this negative is having electrons, so electrons and electrons are pushing, right? This electron will be pushing the free electrons of the conductor. So this electrons pushes means all the electrons will be now moving towards the positive of the battery, right? When they are moving in this direction, the electrons are moving this direction, they are getting an alignment, right? When they are getting an alignment means all the electrons will be in this direction only, right? So that means when electrons are flowing one direction, you will generate a current. I hope it is clear. That is, electrons are moving this direction means they are moving from what? Left to right, right to left, whereas current is always flowing in an opposite direction as that of electron flow. So current moves from what? Positive to negative. This much clear? Right, this is the basic idea when electric field is applied in the conductor and electric field is not applied in the conductor. Right, now we'll move on to the main concept which is dealing with the 12th class. Right, this much portion is something which you have learned, I think, till 10th. Right, so the first concept of 12th class from the chapter current electricity is drift velocity and mobility. These two terms, right? Then we'll come with current also. Anyways, so what is drift velocity? Drifting means, you would have heard drifting regarding your vehicles. That is something, that is a path. The car is moving in a particular path. It was supposed to move in a particular path, but due to some reason they will drift from their path, right? So that is known as drift, and the velocity with which they are drifting is known as drift velocity. This much is the common knowledge of you guys. Now we'll deal with electrons drift velocity. So what happened when no electric field was given? We consider that the electrons are very free to move. They are moving in random motion, or I will say they are moving in zigzag motion. That is, suppose this is my electron. Initially it was moving in this direction, then it moved in this direction. This is known as zigzag motion. That is, it moves in any way it does want. Now what happens is, right, this electron now is having a velocity, I told, right, due to the temperature, right. That means new normal condition. This is a part of a conductor, okay. So this electron was moving randomly, right, and that random motion is actually due to the atmospheric temperature. Right, it might be heating. See, suppose this iron rod or this conductor is an iron rod. If I had heated, that means the more the electrons are getting energy and it will be moving in a higher motion, right? So each electron which is present in a conductor not kept in an external electric field is having a velocity called thermal velocity. That is the normal velocity of any electron in a conductor. This much clear? This is a name which we are giving, right? Thermal velocity is the velocity of the electrons in a conductor which is not in an external field. This much clear? So when one electron I am considering, the first electron I am considering, let it have a thermal velocity of u1. U is a representation of thermal velocity. Second electron, let it have a thermal velocity of u2. And goes on, n electrons are there, and u1 is the thermal velocity of nth electron, right? So whenever you have a velocity of many particles and you are asked what is the velocity of the conductor, what would you do? You will try to find the average velocity, right? So what is the average thermal velocity be? How would you write the average velocities or average thermal velocities equation? It will be u1 plus u2 and goes on till u1 divided by n. This much clear? Now guys, it is in thermal velocity, I told you. That means it is in the presence of what? No electric field. So this is the first electron I considered was moving in the random motion. Suppose this is the direction of u1, right? Now I am going to consider another electron, u2, right, which is having thermal velocity u2. It might be having the direction in this direction, that is u2, right? So u1 I have to say, suppose I am taking positive, then u2 will be minus. Why? Velocity is a vector quantity, so u2 becomes minus, so it becomes u1 minus u2, right? Then u3 might be having this direction, but u4 might be in this direction. That is, the electron is having this direction, the other electron is having this direction, so that again their sum will be 0, right? They will be neglecting each other, or they will be cancelling each other, such that average thermal velocity when the electric field is not present for an electron or for a conductor is equal to 0. This much is clear. This is very important, guys. Thermal velocity or average thermal velocity of electrons is equal to 0, right? So electrons move in a particular direction, right? So they are moving in particular direction, so they are having average velocity 0, means no electrons are there in particular direction. So that means when there is no velocity, there is no movement of charge. When movement of charge is 0, obviously then current is equal to 0. That's why we told initially that when there is no external electric field, no current flows in a conductor. Clear? Now we'll move to the next part of the derivation.